Imagine a building that has been a church, then a mosque, then a cathedral, and is all three at once. Inside, nearly 850 columns of jasper, onyx, marble, and granite stretch into the shadows like a stone forest with no end. This is Córdoba, southern Spain. And this single structure holds more history than most nations. The story begins with a fugitive, Abd al-Rahman. I was one of the last surviving members of the Umayyad royal family, hunted across the Mediterranean after the Abbasid Revolution overthrew his dynasty in 750. He escaped, rebuilt his power in Iberia, and in 785 he ordered the construction of a great mosque in Córdoba, a statement to the world that the Umayyads were not finished. The site already held a Christian place of worship. Abd al-Rahman Singh. I purchased the Christian half of the land from its community for 100,000 dinars, then demolished what stood there and began to build. Construction started in 785 and finished just a year later, in 786 to 787. The builders worked fast, and they worked cleverly. They reused columns and capitals stripped from earlier Roman and Visigothic buildings, some 120 of them in the original mosque alone. The columns were not tall enough to raise the ceiling to the desired height, so the architects invented something new: 2 tiers of arches stacked one above the other. The lower tier curves into horseshoe arches. The upper tier opens into semicircular arches. The voussoirs, the wedge-shaped stones forming each arch, alternate between red brick and white stone, a rhythm borrowed from Umayyad architecture in the Levant. It has been compared to a hall of mirrors and to a forest of palm trees. It is unlike anything else in the world. The mosque grew with each ruler who claimed Córdoba. Abd al-Rahman II extended the prayer hall 8 bays to the south between 833 and 848, making it 64 meters long from front to back. Builders began crafting new marble capitals rather than purely reusing ancient ones. One probable example, inscribed in Arabic Kufic with blessings on Abd al-Rahman II, survives today at the National Archaeological Museum in Madrid. In 958, Abd al-Rahman III finished a new minaret, 47 meters high, with a square base measuring 8.5 meters per side. A marble plaque recorded the master builder's name and the supervisor of works. One scholar suggests the tower was partly intended as a visual challenge to the rival Fatimid Caliphate. Power in the medieval world was measured in stone and height. Then came Al-Hakam II, and the mosque reached its artistic peak. Between his accession and 971, he extended the prayer hall 45 meters further south, adding 12 more bays. He commissioned a new mihrab, the ornate niche indicating the direction of prayer, and to adorn it, he wrote to the Byzantine Emperor Nikephoros II Phocas in Constantinople, requesting mosaicists. The emperor sent a master craftsman and approximately 1,600 kilograms of mosaic tesserae as a gift. The Byzantine-influenced gold mosaics covering the mihrab wall surfaces and the middle dome of the Maqsura were finished in late 970 or early 971. In front of the mihrab, 3 decorative ribbed domes floated overhead, while interlacing multifoil arches framed the space below. An inscription records that the same craftsman who worked here also worked at the great palace city of Madinat al-Zahra nearby. Al-Hakam II also commissioned a new minbar, a pulpit, in 965, built from precious woods including ebony and boxwood, inlaid with ivory and colored woods such as red and yellow sandalwood. Modern scholars believe it moved on wheels, rolled in and out of its storage chamber for each sermon. Its influence spread. In 1137, the artisan workshops of Córdoba would design the minbar of the Kutubiyya Mosque in Marrakesh, likely inspired by this very object. The final great expansion came from Al-Mansur, the powerful regent who stretched the mosque laterally to the east between 987 and 988, adding 8 naves and 8,600 square meters. The mosque now covered an area of 180 by 130 meters. It became the largest mosque in the Muslim world outside Abbasid Iraq. To furnish it with light, Al-Mansur looted the bells of the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela and had them melted down and cast into chandeliers. Outside the prayer hall, the open courtyard was something remarkable in its own right. As early as the 9th century, it was planted with fruit trees, making Córdoba the earliest known mosque where trees grew in the courtyard. City seals from 1262 and 1445 both show the building with tall palm trees rising within its walls, a living garden at the heart of a stone monument. On June 29, 1236, everything changed. King Ferdinand III of Castile captured Córdoba during the Reconquista, and the mosque was converted to a cathedral. The first Mass was held that same day. In a symbolic act of reversal, Ferdinand returned the former bells of Santiago de Compostela, which Al-Mansur had turned into lamps, back to their home in the north. For nearly 3 centuries, the cathedral functioned within the mosque's existing structure. Then in 1523, Bishop Alonso de Manrique initiated something drastic, a full Renaissance nave and transept carved out of the mosque's very heart. When King Charles V later saw the result, he is reputed to have said, "You have built what you or anyone else might have built anywhere. To do so, you have destroyed something that was unique in the world." The work continued for decades. The elliptical central dome of the Renaissance transept was completed between 1599 and 1607. The choir stalls of the Capilla Mayor were commissioned to sculptor Pedro Duque Cornejo in 1748 and finished in 1757, and Duque Cornejo died just 2 weeks before the finished choir was officially opened. By the time construction paused, the building held centuries of overlapping ambition. A royal chapel finished in 1371 by Enrique II housed the remains of his father and grandfather in lavish mudéjar style. The former minaret had been encased in a Renaissance bell tower, finished in 1617. After the 1755 Lisbon earthquake damaged that tower, a French architect spent 8 years restoring it. In 1882, the structure was declared a National Monument of Spain. In 1984, UNESCO inscribed it as a World Heritage Site, and in 1994, that status was extended to the entire historic center of Córdoba. Today, Mass is celebrated inside the building every single day. The building is not a relic. It is alive. Nearly 850 columns, 12 centuries of continuous use, a building that a fugitive prince raised from the soil of a conquered land, that Byzantine craftsman adorned with gold, that a medieval king reclaimed, and that a Renaissance bishop reshaped, all without any single moment ever erasing what came before. Stand beneath those striped arches, and you are standing inside the argument of history itself, still unresolved, still magnificent,